Hey folks, this is Sean Hale with Nonprofit CFOs, and I am here with Candace, who's one of our team members who has tons and tons of audit experience. And she and we want to make sure that you and your nonprofit are prepared to have an audit that is as clean as possible and is as pain-free as possible. Candace, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me about this month-end close checklist thing. What's that all about?
Well, because sometimes the people doing the month end close or preparing the financial statements don't have perfect, infinite memories, a month end close checklist is a fabulous tool for making sure that everything gets done in a timely manner. Excuse me. Before we distribute those financial statements, we want to make
Okay.
sure that every little step is done every month.
So you're saying if I have to do like 100 different things over the course of the month to make sure the bookkeeping is all good, that sometimes things might slip through the cracks
Exactly.
if I don't have some kind of thing to jog my memory, help me stay on top of that.
And if you have a
Okay.
team, oh, excuse me, if you have a team, this makes it even easier for distributing responsibilities.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because then you could maybe know you have a checklist. I'm imagining like this might even just be like a sheet of paper, right? With like reconcile the bank account or do this, do that, and the other. But then we know that, okay, yeah, Candace is doing the bank accounts and George is doing this other thing and Mackenzie's doing this other thing, that kind of deal. So it could be even be a
Exactly.
shared checklist.
A shared checklist, Google Sheets comes to mind.
Mhm.
Or if you want to do something even better, you have Asana or Trello.
Oh, tell me about Asana and Trello. For folks who have never used a tool like Asana or Trello, what are they? How many thousands of dollars do I have to pay for these things? And what are they going to do for me?
You can use, they have a free version that you can download and use, and it allows you to assign tasks. You put the email in, and it'll just pop up. Here's what I'm supposed to do. My deadline is this date. I could start on it this date. And it allows you to track progress through a project. Fabulous project management tool.
Okay. And so especially if there's a team, then that might make it easy for the supervisor to know how far along is whoever with the 30 things that we need them to do this month. What have they finished? What have they not finished? Or for even other team members to say, like, if I'm waiting on you for blah, 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 oh, you're two-thirds of the way through, but here I am twiddling my thumbs. Maybe I need to reach out and say, hey, Candace, can I lend a hand with this thing or what have you?
Exactly.
Okay, cool,
Exactly.
cool. That sounds great. Um, and so what kind of things would you put on a month-end checklist?
All the steps that you would need to close the financial books. Everything from download the bank statements, reconcile each account, and I would do it in a very short action step. If it's too big and you get distracted while you're doing it, you don't want to leave a step half done. So you want it to be a very small, specific step. Reconcile this bank account. um, Look at this journal entry, prepare this journal entry, post this journal entry, review and approve this journal entry. Something very specific, very laser sharp, and assigned to one individual so that you can know, all right, has this been done? Has this been done? It's also a fabulous management tool to see, am I effectively using my resources? Have I got equal workloads? Do I have one person working 12 hours on one day and four the next? Can I shift some of those assignments around?
Okay. And so how many tasks or how many lines would be in the ballpark of right number? Because I imagine we don't want 1,000 steps, right? That would probably be too many. And 3 steps would probably be not enough. But where is there like a sweet spot for folks who like are building one from scratch? They haven't done this before, just so they don't go overboard. So there's not too little, too much.
Well,
Would it be like,
the first thing I would do is the next close, start writing down all the different tasks that you have to do. Look and see what are the steps you had to do last month. Did you post a depreciation entry? Is that set up for an auto posting and you true up at the end of the year? Then that there needs to be a step, verify that that was posted. You can look at all of these other little steps. What are you doing? Are you reviewing prepaid expenses? And I'll throw in there, it doesn't have to be something you do every single month. You can have it happen on a quarterly basis or an annual basis or every other month. It's what steps have to be done in order to have everything closed. As far as a number, it would depend greatly on the size of the organization. I couldn't imagine it being less than 50. Just in my mind going through, unless it was really super small. Um, Most, I would say, probably are between 75, maybe 150 to 200 as far as what steps would need to be done.
That many steps. Okay. Okay, very good. But this is different from like your procedures manual, right?
Yes,
Because you might have a procedures manual that like this is how we do payroll, right? And we click here and we do this. How is this checklist different from a procedures manual?
it might say reconcile payroll to, say, a quarterly step, reconcile payroll to the 940.
Okay.
And that would be it.
So 5 to 10 words, short description. Okay.
I might have a column for source. Where do I get that source data? I'm going to get this from this person. I'm going to get this from this third party payroll provider and reconcile perhaps. Or if it's the bank statement, I'm getting the bank statement from this web portal to download and I'm pulling this report, maybe the report name to have in there.
Okay. So short, sweet, and it's with written probably with the person who's done it a bunch of times in mind. So you don't need a thorough explanation of the how, just, oh yeah, this is the thing that I always have to do in the middle of the month. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
And is is this kind of thing, would it be this checklist, would it be helpful to the organization when somebody is out maybe on like sick leave or parental leave, that kind of thing?
Very much so. Very much so. This is knowledge sharing for what it takes to get everything accomplished to get those books closed.
Okay, okay, very good. Well, what else should a smaller mid-sized nonprofit know about their month-end close checklist so they can have that audit experience that is as happy as possible?
Well, this definitely is a huge improvement to the internal control structure and making sure that we have consistent results. And the auditors love seeing that consistency. They love seeing the accountability that you have people
Mm.
signing off that this was done, this was done, this was done, this was reviewed, this was double checked, this was signed off on. That's makes auditors so happy.
Oh yeah. This reminds me of when I was CFO at my last job. The folks who did the bookkeeping for us, they would they did a whole checklist, and at the end of the month, not only had they like checked all the things, and they would print it out, and it was kind of 2 columns. It was they printed out of Excel, but 2 columns of things, so probably about 40, 50 items. They checked it off, and then they actually like signed or initialed it at the bottom, and then they would give that to me as the cover sheet, or maybe it was page 2 of the whole month end packet for me to review wearing my CFO hat. And then I would also sign off on that. If I remember correctly, part of that was auditors like to see that I was touching it and they were touching it and doing it in that way, and that we had that paper record there. Would that be fair to say?
They love it. They love it. I would think upper management would love it as well. It
Cool.
also it empowers the CFO to see how long from the end of the month do we need to close the books? Where can we streamline it? Can we be more efficient, more effective in closing the books and maybe do it in 5 days or 4 days, or how long? If we're
Hmm.
not getting data in until day 4 or day 5 after month end close, we can't close the books before day 3, right?
Yeah. And the board of directors and management, they like having data that's as fresh as possible, right? If they're seeing
Mm-hmm.
data, if they're seeing a financial report that instead of it being 2 weeks old, is 2 months old, in my experience, they can get kind of grumpy, especially if that becomes a habit. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. So, but month end close checklists will change over time and they can ebb and flow. I wouldn't see this as something chiseled in stone. It's a living, breathing document, something that will just improve every month that it's used.
Hmm. So if I'm hearing you correctly on that, for the organization that's maybe putting one together for the first time, don't worry about letting perfect be the enemy of the good. Don't worry about, oh, I need to set aside a whole day and think about my whole month, and just build it little by little. You'll get there and it'll be strong. But just
Mm-hmm.
as you're doing those things, start to name them. And then in month two, as you're going through your routine, you'll notice, oh yeah, I forgot to put in payroll and I forgot to put in whatever. And so start writing it in, that kind of thing.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, that's
good. So
great.
so another kind of baby steps kind of thing. Don't worry about it being perfect the first time, the second time, the third time. It's all progress. And even after you've done it for 2, 3 years, it'll change, right? Like, oh, we opened up a new bank account, or we opened up a new investment account, or what have you. We started working with a new payroll provider, and now instead of it being a 4 step, it's a 2 step kind of deal. So we're gonna have to make adjustments. All right.
Mm-hmm. And I would include in there some of the best that I have seen, even include the balance sheet reconciliations in there for a post close activity
Hmm.
so that they can then have other journal entries ready to go for the next month end close. And they have rollover and prepare and have things ready to go.
Very
You
good.
have those assignments already laid out. You have everything kind of streamlined to see how good can we be.
Excellent. Well, Casey, thank you very much for this great tip that'll help the nonprofits that we work with keep their noses clean and hopefully have a much more pleasant, not just year in their accounting processes, but keeping that audit as brief and as pain-free as possible. Thank you.